Thank you. As Bruce mentioned, every year the Sidney Hillman Foundation, in addition to the Hillman Prizes, gives out an award to recognize the work of a labor historian, which is a way of acknowledging the importance of understanding the past as we try to understand our present circumstances. So on behalf of the committee this year for the Saul Stetin Award, Joan Suarez and Dorothy Sukablin and myself, I'm here to present the award to this year's winner of the Saul Stetin Award, Nelson Lichtenstein, who holds the MacArthur Foundation Chair in History at the University of California at Santa Barbara. Professor Lichtenstein's been at the forefront of historians of American labor since the publication of his first book, Labor's War at Home, the CIO in World War II, 30 years ago. In that path-breaking volume, In the Most Dangerous Man in Detroit, his magisterial biography of United Automobile Workers President Walter Reuther, and in many widely read essays, Lichtenstein's done more than anyone else to explain the rise of industrial unionism, the impact it had on the structures of power, and the obstacles that ultimately limited its gains. More recently, Lichtenstein's gone from analyzing labor relations at key mid-20th century corporations like General Motors to analyzing how a new set of companies, exemplified by Walmart, have created a business template for 21st century capitalism that has led to a race to the bottom in the wages and the benefits and the living conditions for millions of working people. In his influential survey of the 20th century labor movement, The State of the Union, Lichtenstein emphasized how shifts in ideology and legal thinking first prepared the way for the emergence of a mass union movement and then subverted it. His 2009 book, The Retail Revolution, How Walmart Created a Brave New World of Business, brilliantly shows how the New Deal system of unionized work and state regulation was undermined by the growth of an upstart company which combined old-fashioned paternalism and labor exploitation with sophisticated technology and unrivaled global supply chains. As well as an eminent scholar, Professor Lichtenstein has been an active supporter of the labor movement. After winning a distinguished honorable mention in 1995 from the Hillman Committee for his biography of Reuther, 2 years later he was co-winner of a special Hillman Prize as a member of the steering committee of the National Teaching with Labor held at Columbia University, which makes him the only person ever to win both the Stetin and Hillman Prizes. Lichtenstein works with labor groups in the United States and abroad to expose and improve conditions for Walmart workers. A regular commenter on labor matters in the press, he has helped train a new generation of scholar activists at the UC Santa Barbara Center for the Study of Work, Labor, and Democracy, which he founded and directs. So I'd like to ask Nelson Lichtenstein to come up, and it's my great pleasure to award to Nelson the 2012 Saul Stetin Award.
Thank you very much, Josh. That was great. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm really delighted to receive this award and really quite humbled to stand at the same podium where that great generation of labor historian pioneers and teachers, the late David Montgomery, David Brody, and Melvin Dubofsky once stood. They made labor history, which had once been the marginal stepchild of business administration and an unwelcome bother to most economists. They made it a central component of what we study in the academy, not just in history, but in English, sociology, politics, law, and gender studies. Indeed, it's been somewhat of an embarrassment in my own profession that so many of those who win prizes or get elected to top offices began their careers as students of labor history. And among the new generation of historians that it has been my privilege to mentor, few study the labor movement per se, but in their studies of business, politics, globalization, and capitalism, all are thoroughly grounded in labor history and its distinctive ideological and ethical imperatives. And of that, I make sure, and that's why we have the Center for the Study of Work, Labor, and Democracy at Santa Barbara, at least as far as I'm concerned. In truth, there is something different about labor history. Although they are entirely welcome, you don't find many conservatives, and certainly very few opponents of the labor movement, identifying with the research agenda pursued by most labor historians. And that is because men and women like David Montgomery and James Green and Dorothy Sue Cobble, the latter two also previous Stetin Award winners, have been passionately committed to the labor movement in all its manifest forms. They have been labor intellectuals in the best and truest sense of the word. Indeed, I accept this award in the spirit manifest by one of the great labor intellectuals of his day, a man who was for decades associated with the Amalgamated Clothing Workers of America, the union founded by and led by Sidney Hillman. This was Jacob Benjamin Salutsky, or J.B.S. Hardman, the editor of the Amalgamated newspaper, The Advance, for many years during the first half of the 20th century. He was Hillman's comrade. Hardman was a part of that great generation of exiles from Tsarist Russia who helped found the garment trades unions and who never stopped pushing and prodding the entire labor movement to fulfill its humane and socialist destiny. He tutored America's most influential and radical sociologist, C. Wright Mills, in labor politics, so that when, in 1948, Mills published The New Men of Power, America's Labor Leaders, he dedicated the book to J.B.S. Hardman, labor intellectual. I wish that the leaders of the union movement today could once again be described as the new men of power. But regardless of the status of the unions, then or later, Mills knew that the insights, arguments, and empirical research of labor intellectuals like Hardman were essential if the unions were to understand the trajectory of capitalism and fulfill labor's potential. As Mills then wrote, to have an American labor movement capable of carrying out the program of the left, making allies among the middle class, and moving upstream against the main drift, there must be a rank and file of vigorous workers, a brace of labor intellectuals, and a set of politically alert labor leaders. There must be the power and the intellect. I accept the Saul Stetin Award in the interests of that alliance. Thank you.